Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another exciting virtual tour here in Tacoma. And tonight we're exploring the Foss Waterway Seaport, and in particular, the Heritage Boat Shop, which is something I think not a lot of people are familiar with. And so I'm really excited to get to share it with you guys. So hopefully you'll have questions as we go along. And at the very least, you'll have a better understanding of what the Heritage Boat Shop's role is in the seaport and how you can be involved in that as well. So, as always, if you have questions along the way, please feel free to ask. I'm glad you guys are here, and I'm excited for y'all to be joining us right now. So, what is the Heritage Boat Shop? Well, it is a section of the Foss Waterway Seaport where, believe it or not, boats are built. But it's significantly more than that. To give you the brief on it, it's a place where a series of volunteers come and then create whatever is needed for the museum, whether it is stanchions, rollers, platforms, or, to maintain certain boats in there. Also, it's a place where you, the public, can take classes. So there's a variety of classes on offer at the fosswaterwayseaport.org website. You can go up to the little tab for the Heritage Boat Shop and see what is coming up and get involved yourself. And they have some really incredible programs. One of the ones we're going to talk about tonight is actually a 2-day boat kit where you can come in and within, you start Saturday morning, by Sunday afternoon, you will have your own boat that can paddle away from the seaport. It is really, it's as cool as it sounds, quite honestly. The third kind of element of this whole thing is education. And this is a space where they can actually give hands-on instruction to a variety of topics, whether it's woodworking or actually building boats in a traditional fashion. So we're going to take a look at it today. But first, I would like to introduce you to the director of the Foss Waterway Seaport, Brent Mason, who's got a little word for you right now.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Foss Waterway Seaport. My name is Brent Mason. I'm the executive director here, and I am super pumped to be with all of you and to be able to talk a little bit about our Heritage Boat Shop. Boat Shop is actually part of our arrangement with the city in terms of being able to operate the seaport. For the longest time, it was really defined instead of by walls, but by stanchions. And what we were finding was that we couldn't have mixed use. We couldn't have events going on while the boat shop was going. We had dust going everywhere, which gets on the artifacts. And so back in about 2018 or so, some really smart folks decided to put this wonderful facility on paper. And then we used the pandemic to build it. And we opened it up back in probably early 2022. And since then, we've been trying to figure out where the fit is from a program perspective. Our education folks have been racking their brain. We've been talking and talking and talking. Finally, we probably made the best decision ever, and that was by hiring our boat shop coordinator, Corey Shooter. And Corey has begun to develop a variety of different programs designed to appeal to everyone in the community, whether it be kids, whether it be adults, whether it be families. And we have some awesome boat building programs coming up over the course of the next 18 months. We really invite you to dig really deep into Chris's program tonight, and definitely check out our website at fosswaterwayseaport.org. Pull down the boat shop and see what we've got going on. Thanks for joining us.
Now, you've known me for a while now. One of my biggest passions is the Foss Waterway Seaport Museum, both as just a historic entity, once the part of the mile-long grain warehouse that was down on the waterfront there. But this is just an element that has gone untalked about for so long, and it's one of my favorite parts of the museum. Not only because it's visually stunning. I don't know if anybody went down for the free Third Thursday today and got to actually explore that space. But a lot of times when they do events down there, they open it up and kind of let you come in and work around. And they've done a whole variety of activities in there, such as allowing kids to make little wooden boats. They had, I think, like cedar planks or something, and they let the kids make these wooden boats that have wheels on them. And it was a boat derby race where the boats would race down a track and then land in the water. And just really amazing opportunities for people to use a lot of tools that they might not be able to. For my personal experience, adjacent to boat building, blacksmithing was something that I was deeply interested for a long time in, but there wasn't an opportunity for me to really just go into somebody's forge and use an anvil, use a forge, use tongs, and like get into something without just making a huge financial investment. And by allowing these courses to operate within the boat shop, the Seaport is allowing you guys all this exact opportunity. Not just the education on how, wooden boats are formed, but by allowing you a chance to learn about something like a circular saw or a planer. So we're going to hear from a little bit from everyone today, but I do want to walk you around the space here really quick. So this is Joe. Joe is one of the volunteers there at the Foss Waterway Seaport Museum, and he's going to give us a little look at the shop itself. Jump on in.
This is a wheelbarrow boat. Notice that if you duck down, you can actually see it has a little Foss Waterway Museum boat shop. It's staffed by volunteers. Most of us are old guys. We come in on Thursdays and Fridays for about 4 hours a day, and we basically do whatever the museum wants. We build dollies for the boats, help build exhibits, hang boats from the ceiling, whatever the museum needs. We also build boats. We are building a wheelbarrow boat, and this is a pilot. We're going to have community builds where people buy the kits and we help them build the boats. We have most of the power tools you'd expect to find in a working shop. There's a very nice table saw which automatically kicks off if you touch it with anything wet, like your finger. With all the big tools, thickness planer, nice table saw, planer, chop saw. We remodeled this year. We got that wall. We got a nice vacuum system and a drill press. This is a boat that one of the museum staff has had for a decade. It's called an elegant punch. We're going to be setting these up for a community build where we get the materials in here and the individual comes in and then they build the boat over the course of a weekend or 2 weekends. You have to work out the timing yet. But she brought it in and we're just tidying it up basically so we can show people what it looks like for a build. And like all wood shops, we generate a lot of dust, so we have this very sophisticated dust system that we click on for everything. A little bit noisy, so we use it as we need it. A router. There's not much you could need to do to build a boat or make a cabinet or birdhouses or simple projects that the shop doesn't have and have available and in working order. We test all the tools all the time. We just rewired the router this morning because something had come loose. And we pretty much stay on top of all the projects for the museum.
Now, I noticed the walls, they have quite a bunch of glass. Is that so that people can come and observe you guys at work?
That's part of the build, the rebuild. And that wall was not there before, so we generated a lot of dust inside of the museum. So when they did the remodel, they put those windows in just for people to come in and look at us, and that way we invite them in. We're always looking for more volunteers, and Thursdays and Fridays, 10 o'clock on, and if we had more people, we'd probably be open more days.
Now, I know you guys are doing a lot of like independent builds right now, but I've seen you've done restoration in the past.
We don't do museum quality restoration. There are people who specialize in that. But we have restored boats to where they will work as an exhibit. We had a Willets canoe that had broken parts, just like the one up there. We made new parts and then fiberglass the hull. It just hadn't been taken care of well enough to be, quote, be restored like the ones before. So I gave that to someone who was going to finish that project and paint it, and they're just going to sell it.
What is kind of the mission statement of the Heritage Boat Shop? What's your guys' goal here?
fundamentally, again, it's what the museum needs. But we do, we're an educational facility primarily, and that's why we're going away a bit from doing custom boats like Ruth and more in the direction of doing community builds like the elegant punt and the wheelbarrow boat. I think the wheelbarrow boat's really a cute thing because one of the things you have trouble with, particularly, is even a small boat. Even a boat that's advertised is very light, very cumbersome shape. And so it's very neat if you're a family to be able to stick the oars in as handles, roll that thing to the water, and hop in a couple of adults or an adult and a couple of kids, and it'll be great for the Foss and the near shore that connects with that.
That's fantastic. And I do like this one. I'm pretty sure someone's called me an elegant punt before, so.
I don't think the word was punt.
So to stress the fact once more, Joe here is one of many volunteers, but not as many as could be accommodated in this space. And so something that the Seaport is actively looking for are more people to come down. And to give you a baseline here, I talked to a lot of these guys. None of them are shipwrights or carpenters by trade necessarily. They've come down and they've learned skills over time and contributed some parts that they had. Over time, a few of them have built their own boats and then contributed those skills to the boat shop. But this isn't something where you have to come in with a high level of education for it. It's a community and an educational facility. So if you have any interest in volunteering, please contact the boat shop. Now, we got an excellent question here. Yes. So in the Foss Waterway Seaport Museum, this is really tucked away. But if you go to the very back of that space, it is walled off, but has these viewing walls made out of glass. So you can see the restoration room, you can see the wood shop in there, and you get to take a look at all that material, activity, and tools being used in that space. And sometimes if you come on a day where they're volunteering, it's really remarkable to see what they're working on there. One of the ones that I'm most excited to show you tonight is Ruth. Now, Ruth is a boat that was built by the volunteers because they wanted to build a boat, and it's now housed in there. And it will be sold to help fund activities there at the Seaport, including the continuation of the boat shop itself. So here's Joe again, introducing you to his baby, Ruth.
When money comes from that, the money goes back into the shop and materials and stuff. I actually asked him. He's the one. He's the man to ask.
Okay, this is Ruth. Ruth is built from scratch. That is, all the wood was part of it were boards. She's 18 feet long. It was designed by a guy named Gentry. She's named Ruth because both his grandmothers were named Ruth. So this is all Doug fir. This is maple. The floorboards are maple. The ribs and some of the other pieces are made from marine plywood. All of it's coated with epoxy, but it's skin on frame. So in a sense, it's an advanced version of a native craft. The skin is actually Dacron fabric. It's tightly stretched over the frame and then heated with a heat gun and to shrink it, which it does. And then the ends are originally fixed in place with marine staples, Monell staples. This is a sliding seat from a kit. So this seat, again, just started out as raw wood and purchased hardware kit we bought. We're making a special piece to go around the bow, a plate, a 4-strand plate, like knotwork, that would go around the bow. This is the rigger. This is what the whole oarlocks. So this design of this boat is called a wherry, W-H-E-R-R-Y, which is a traditional British rowing craft. Originally, these were used when the sailing ships anchored out. People wanted to get in the shore and out. They hired these guys for like a packet boat. You'd have someone on the rope, not with a sliding seat, and they'd take 1 or 2 passengers from the sailing ship to the dock and vice versa. So this is a predecessor of the high-performance rowing boats. But this has more freeboard. This will require much more care than an ordinary fiberglass boat. You cannot leave Ruth sitting in the water for days. You have to be done with it. You finish rowing, you take it out. These boats row very well. Any number of these have been made from the plans from Mr. Gentry. Some of them, some people have treated these, rather than paint the sides white with some color, they've painted them with a clear finish. It looks like people are floating on the water with nothing there but these faint little frames. We're looking forward to having it done in within the next month. This is going to be a little tricky mounting the riggers because I have to compensate for this angle and then compensate for the angle again on top of the bolt that's going to hold the rigger in place. She'll use ring along oars like the Pococks do. We think she'll row really well. I originally started building it before COVID, which has obviously set me back. And I've also had a couple of physical operations since then, new hip, new shoulder. So I'm not sure that I can row it very much, so we're going to auction Ruth off. Probably something like best offer over $3,000. I could not begin to tell you how many hours we in the shop have spent on this. Every piece on here has been cut, fit, and measured for this boat. Seat, maple, floorboard maple, everything coming in epoxy. I think she'll hold up very well. I think she's going to row really well. I may get to row it once. But we're going to auction it off for the boat shop.
That's fantastic. And what was it that inspired this as kind of the maiden project here?
It's not the maiden project for the boat shop, but I wanted a rowing boat. I've rowed a little bit. I thought it was a lot of fun to have a rowing boat to use on the Foss and in the immediate near areas of Commencement Bay. And so the boat shop said, okay, we'll help you with it. And so everybody in the boat shop has touched this at some point. I was laying up for a while after my hip, I think, and Jim I came in, got the skin stretched initially, but then Jim finished the skin. Everybody worked on framing it. I think it's going to row like the Dickens. So these boats are really great rowing boats. More freeboard, you can carry a passenger. Unlike the performance boats, you can carry a passenger. And it'll be a beautiful boat for someone who wants to row. Take someone with them. People go miles in these things. These really are a good rowing boat.
I mean, like a contender for the 70-48.
You could row this in the 70-48 easily. You can take a passenger. You take a few supplies. It's not built to carry much more than that. But these were used to carry, goods out to the sailing ships and bring them ashore. So there's a long tradition to wherries. They're sometimes made like this, skin on frame. There are plywood versions, stitch and sew, cedar strip versions. They make a beautiful boat. I think they look better in the water than the high-performance boats. But we're hoping we'll auction them off for the benefit of the boat shop.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So there it is. If you are looking to invest in a boat for someone who is wary of the water, here's your option. I'm sorry. It's not going to get better. I can promise you that. But there are boats that are being made in the shop right now that are not wherries. And the two that I'm really excited to introduce you tonight are the Elegant Punt and the Wheelbarrow boat. And the Punt is the one that is going to be offered as part of this class that they're going to be teaching at the boat shop, where you pay a price, you get the kit, you come in Saturday morning, Sunday afternoon, you row out with your boat, which I know seems remarkable. But Julia, the director of education, has made one herself in the past, and she's willing to talk to you a little bit about it right now.
Chris.
So good to have you here.
Right. Thanks for coming. So I'm Julia. I'm the director of education, and this is a little boat that I built back in 2011. It's called an Elegant Punt, and I'm going to give Chris some information he can share with you all about this boat. But I personally built it in the middle of a trip, actually, when my dinghy, inflatable dinghy, also known as deflatable dinghy, quit working, and a nice person named Joe Novello said, hey, I can help you build a boat. And I said, I really don't think so. I've never honestly used power tools beyond like a drill before. He said, no, it's fine. Just come on over up to my house, it's right up the street. And in 2 days later, I had this boat. And in the years since, it's been all over with me and my family. And people say, wow, that's so cute, where'd you get it? And I've never gotten tired of saying, I built it. And out of all the things I have done in my life, this is, besides my son, the thing I'm the most proud of. And it was just 2 days, super easy. And so Joe Novello, I'm still in touch with, and he runs family boat building classes, building these boats still down there in Toledo, Oregon on the coast. And he's given us all the information that we need to hold our own class here. So I'm so excited to be bringing all the joy that I had in building this boat and using it all these years. And it's nice and light. I can carry it myself. It holds 450 pounds. I've had my whole family and my German Shepherd in this thing. And be able to bring that joy to our community. So you can come here. You don't have to know anything about anything. We'll help you build one of these boats. The cost is $500. You start on Saturday morning, and by Sunday afternoon, you have your boat ready to take home. So we're very excited about that class in February, and the registration's open today.
So first of all, what an incredible boat. I got to handle a little bit today, and it's under 100 pounds. Like, it's very maneuverable out of the water. And then getting to see it in action is remarkable because it pivots on a dime. And like she said, can hold up to 450 pounds. And it's so rare to have something that's that sturdy, right? You don't have to worry about it getting punctured like an inflatable dinghy or anything. But also being able to make it yourself is such a treat. So that is going to be the boat that's on offer as part of this boat building workshop with the Foss Waterway Seaport. And if you're interested in that, you can find it at fosswaterwayseaport.org. They have a little tab up on the top right there where you can look up the Heritage Boat Shop, and then it lists the events that are coming up. And there's quite a few of them. We're going to introduce you to Corey, who's in charge of the boat shop here in a moment, and she can discuss a little bit more about what is available there and kind of what they're doing down there. But I did want to answer a question that was asked here. The boat, Ruth, the Wherry, is covered in a Dacron. It's a marine grade Dacron, and that will not be covered up by wood later. That will just be the exterior shell there. And what Joe was saying is that it is an adaptation of what you would experience from a more traditional indigenous craft, where you would stretch something like a sealskin or a hide over a frame like that. And that would be used as the exterior of the boat, kayak, canoe. And this is the same kind of thing that you've seen before. If you remember back to our virtual tour about the George Pocock racing shells, that has an incredibly thin but strong membrane stretched over the shell of those boats that allows them to be incredibly light and pass through the water effortlessly, but doesn't increase the weight in any real way. So it's a remarkable craft like that. That one you do have to be a little more careful with. The elegant punt is a wood. It's a plywood that's been formed around that shell there. So you could be a little bit more rough and tumble with it. I'd like to introduce you now to Corey so she can talk a little bit about what they've got going on down there at the boat shop.
My name is Corey, and I'm the boat shop coordinator, which basically means I am responsible for making all these fun community activities happen and making sure that we have classes in here. I also hang out with the volunteers and help them with their projects, kind of oversee that whole side of the boat shop. But mostly I focus on the community classes and, just getting people in here, woodworking, building boats, all that stuff. And especially people who wouldn't necessarily have that opportunity normally. We don't all have all these power tools and access and knowledge at home, so.
What kind of classes are you guys having?
So we have a bunch of different kinds of classes. We have a lot of intro to woodworking classes right now, because that's kind of where we've seen there's the biggest demand for. People don't really have a way to get into it, so we started that. And we also have some women's woodworking classes. We have a family boat building class coming up in February. We have a variety of different classes, mostly woodworking and small boat building oriented, but then also some smaller craft things, family events, all of that.
Like, what's your requirements for someone joining one of these classes? Do they need to be proficient at woodworking?
Absolutely not. We have people who have done like a lot of stuff in their home workshop before, and they come to our classes, which is awesome. But I would say a good amount of our participants have never even touched a saw before, and that's great. We love having all ends of the spectrum, because then, you know, we have really experienced instructors, but of course it's great to have people learning from each other in classes too.
Can you talk to me a little bit about your instructors?
Yeah, so we have a few community instructors, and these are people who, one of them graduated from the Wood Technology Center in Seattle. Most of them are either in the maritime industry or in some sort of carpentry or woodworking industry as a profession, but then they also love teaching. So that's why they're here, to get involved with the community and help spread what they have learned.
And what's the best way for someone to get involved or learn more about this all?
That's a great question. So we have a page on the Seaport website. So just go to the Foss Waterway Seaport website, and then we have a boat shop page with all of our classes. Also keeping an eye on Facebook and the social medias and all of that stuff. Be posted with all our events.
So just to clarify a little bit here, in case you were confused, there are so many different elements to the Heritage Boat Shop, but it is a division and part of the Foss Waterway Seaport itself, located inside the building with a state-of-the-art facility that prevents dust or debris from getting out onto the artifacts. It's entirely self-contained. And it is maintained 2 days a week by a team of volunteers. But it is run by Corey there, and she is responsible for helping get programming in there, like the family boat building course, where they will bring in really accomplished instructors from the maritime or carpentry industry to help you, amateur, novice, whatever your skill level, learn how to handle tools, become comfortable with them, and then eventually create something. And over the years, they've done a whole variety of things there, from the 3D salmon models that are on the turnstile there, so it actually moves, to what is now coming up in February, which again, I'm very excited about, creating your own boat over the weekend, the Elegant Punt. Now, there is a desire to grow that program into something a little more fleshed out as well, to the point where people could possibly be building something more elaborate. Now, this isn't on the menu yet, but I think with your encouragement, and if anybody wants to go become a volunteer or sign up for these courses, I think it will become more feasible, because the boat that I'm incredibly excited about is the wheelbarrow boat. Now, I'm going to show you the wheelbarrow boat. You'll get to hear a little bit about the guy who created it, or at least, you know, builds it, and then we can go from there. So join me here for a second. Let me first show you the wheelbarrow boat. I know. So that's a kit boat. That's something where you can order it, get the pieces, and then assemble it yourself in a home shop or someplace like the boat shop eventually, I hope. And the dream is that at some point, that's the kind of kit boat where it could be ordered and become part of a class where people at the Heritage Boat Shop would then help you assemble it. Again, not on the menu yet, but they did put together an example model with the volunteers at the Heritage Boat Shop. And so I'm going to let Joe show that to you guys here really quick. It's just such a cool craft.
This is a wheelbarrow boat. It's Notice that if you duck down, you can actually see it has a little wheel underneath the hull. And the idea is that you have that little wheel, and you see those holes in the back, you stick the oars through those holes, and then you lift it up and you can roll it down the ramp into the water, which makes it really kind of handy if you're one person and some little people. You want to be able to move your boat. This is big enough to hold a couple of adults and or adult and a couple of children. You can put a small motor on the back. One of the little electrics would be nice. And you see that it has flotation compartments, hardwood seats. The hull, of course, is plywood. We did something of upgrade on the gunnels to make them stiffer and, frankly, to make them look better.
Is it going to have oar locks at some point?
You will have oar locks. Some of the paint is still drying on this, so you will have oar locks and some hardware at the bow, the line, and there's a little hardware kit that comes with the boat.
Beautiful.
So these are a little bit of a challenge. These are stitch and glue. So these are pieces of plywood with a line, and then you have little tiny holes, you put copper wire in, twist that wire tight to align the pieces, and then you epoxy. And after your epoxy sets up, you take out the little wires. And then you add more epoxy, and then you paint it.
Well, it's absolutely gorgeous.
This will be, we did some things to make it look better, and in our view, make it a tiny bit stronger. And again, we went back to the designer and commented on this, making the joints better and stuff like that.
So the dream, of course, is to upgrade eventually to something like that. But the much more feasible goal is something along the lines of the elegant punt. And to sell you on that experience just a little bit more, not that I have to, here we can hear from the Toledo Wooden Boat Show and about that.
Hello, friends. Over the past couple of years, I've made several videos on YouTube. There's links to those below. And had a lot of posts on Facebooks of the activities that I've been involved with a little boat called the Elegant Punt. Over the past 30 years, I've built or helped build dozens and dozens of these boats, and they're just a wonderful little boat. They're versatile. You can use them for rowing. I love to fish in mine. You can just use them for pleasure, rowing around. They work well with an electric motor. I've put a little gas motor on mine and used it to ferry people back and forth out to their boats as a little tender. They can take one person, 2, 3 people, a couple adults and a couple of kids fit in them. They can be tricked out for all different things. I've used mine for salmon fishing and trout fishing and just all kinds of neat things. Each year at the Toledo Wooden Boat Show, we build 5 of these punts over a period of 2 days. We have a group of fellows that are the retired old guys in the Toledo Community Boathouse who help people build these boats. We have 5 teams of families, and one of my crew, sometimes it's a retired guy or it might be a younger person who has built one already, become a team leader, and they help these families build an elegant punt over the period of 2 days. We start out on Saturday morning about 9 o'clock. Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock we launch all the boats, and then folks can take them home. And at the end of the show, the boat floats. It works just fine, but it's not finished. So families need to take it home and apply whatever kind of finish they want. And it could be anything from just putting some one coat of garage floor paint on them, all the way to doing a really nice job with varnishing and marine paints and all that kind of thing. You can see how we do this at the Port of Toledo's website, portoftoledo.org, and that's a place where you can sign up and build one of your very own. We have openings for folks to build them at this time. The price is $200, and that includes all the materials you need and hardware, including oars and oar locks and all those kinds of things. If you'd like to build a boat of your own, I encourage you to check out the portoftoledo.org website and follow the links to the family boat building section and the elegant punt build. Even if you don't want to build your own boat, I encourage you to come to the boat show. It's the 3rd weekend in August. where you can watch families building their boats. It's a very cool activity. The show is family oriented with lots of fun things to do. So if you would like to build your own boat, again, go to theportoftoledo.org and build your own boat. I hope to see you.
You don't even have to go to Toledo, my friends. You could do it from the comfort of your very own Tacoma, because the Foss Waterway Seaport and the Heritage Boat Shop are offering this exact same opportunity for you guys to make your very own elegant punt. And yes, there's a legacy here to this town. It is not just the masterful dedication of the Willits brothers, but an entire collection, a basket, a cornucopia of generations have made their own wooden boats here. The Foss family made their own wooden boats here and used them to tool around Commencement Bay and the city waterway, and then go salmon and trout fishing throughout the area. This is something that is in the very bones and fabric of Tacoma. And one thing that I think is truly missing from Tacoma right now is an engagement with the water. You don't really see a lot of people out cruising around on the water, but it's something that I think is essential. Having done the kayak tours this year and been an accomplished mariner in the area myself for quite some time, it's something that I can't highly recommend enough. You know what I mean? There is something truly majestic about Tacoma, looking at it back from the water and getting to experience the maritime history of this area yourself. So if this is something that you're interested in, at least consider coming down and seeing the boat shop, or volunteering, or if you want to take the level up, you can engage in one of the courses, like learning how to handle the power tools, or even going so far as to sign up for the class to build your own elegant punt. But if you guys have questions, comments, please let me or the Seaport staff know. They're very active on their social media and always have a huge amount of things going on down there, including every third Thursday. Not only will you get to see my shining face broadcasting live from the safety of my own home, but I'm often down there at the Seaport, and every third Thursday they have some new event. It is free admission on all of those days, generally from 4 to 8 p.m. or throughout the day. You can go visit the museum at any point, free admission, and then there's usually an activity in the evening as well. So please don't hesitate to get out and get involved. Make yourself part of this legacy right down here, because after all of us have an obligation to get out there, keep on exploring. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you so much.